Streaming. We should be going live. What's up, everybody? Welcome, welcome. This is my second stream of the day, which is quite the change from being inactive more or less for a month. We hadn't done a lot of streams. I'm happy to be back. Our stream this afternoon went great. We ripped open a an entire Riftbound Origins booster box, which we had on basically layaway for 3 months while Riftbound was trying to figure out how to get the stuff shipped. You already heard me bitch and complain about Riot. Not super pleased with them. I hope that they can figure this out, which they've talked about that they're going to figure it out by set 3 and 4, and that they're going to be able to print more, and that they're ready for supply. But you know, card players don't wait, and geeks and nerds, we're not very patient all the time. And I hope that they can figure this out before they really run out of stock, or before people like us kind of get bored, or we can't find it because it's so unaffordable. So go back, check out that video. That was a few hours ago. Tonight, we're actually doing a spotlight interview, which I haven't done in a couple of months. We'll head over to the other channel. I've got Michael on the other side. We'll introduce him. We'll talk a little bit about his company, Fable and Table Games. Talk about kind of what he does and what his operation is like. This is going to be great for people who are thinking about, hey, what's the business kind of like? What can I look forward to? What's scary? What shouldn't I look forward to? What do I wish that I knew beforehand? And then we'll talk about some upcoming sets. I'm not a massive Magic guy anymore. If I had stuck with it for 20 years, I probably would have been. But now I'm just kind of a universes beyond guy. I'm into Final Fantasy and Avatar, stuff like that. But we can ask Michael what he thinks about the Lorwyn set. We can ask him about, the Marvel set coming out, see if he knows anything about Strixhaven, which is a set coming down the pipeline in a while. I know very little about these other than the name. We've got a bunch of Lorwyn on reserve. We're gonna have at least 3 or 4 collector booster boxes, which we'll be able to bring to the shows and sell, and we'll have some regular booster boxes, stuff like that. But yeah, so this is gonna be a pretty magic heavy stream for the most part. And then we'll kind of just roll with the punches, talk about whatever Michael wants to chat about. We do have our chat open, so if you want to pipe in, if you want to ask us some questions, you can do that. And yeah, let me switch over windows. Let's introduce you. Michael, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
All right, I can. And let's see, your volume should be coming through, so you're good to go. So Michael here, he owns Fable and Table Games. Let's get right into it. Tell us, I guess, start from the beginning. Why did you decide to open up a card shop, and how'd you come up with the name, and how long have you been in business?
Yeah. So I'll start with the name because that's where it kind of started.
It's a good name.
Um, Thank you.
It's clever. Yeah.
So we were, I was actually, my wife and I were in Portland, Maine, and we had each had a couple margaritas and some tacos, and we were just kind of uh, talking about our corporate jobs and like, what if we could open a card store, bookstore, our like two favorite passions, and we were brainstorming. We were like, fable and table books and cards, um, tabletop games and books. So that's where it came. That's where the name came from. But yeah, I've been doing this for 4 years or so, casually, and taking it really seriously for the last 2 years.
So 4 years, going serious in 2 years. Is What was the first 2 years like versus the last 2 years when you started taking it seriously? How much did that change your business, and how much did that change your home life? How much time are you putting into it right now versus how much time you were putting into it then? Roughly.
Yeah, so when I first started, I was essentially selling my own collection, just the cards I didn't want anymore. Um, and that it was fun. I liked it. I love the process of shipping cards, which is a very weird thing to say, but it gives me a great deal of satisfaction when I, you know, ship a card nicely and present it nicely, and I get a review or something that says my mailman left the envelope in the rain, but it was packed so well that the cards were fine. It gives me a lot of satisfaction.
Right.
Uh, so that was kind of like the learning process for the first few, my first foray. I was doing it as a hobby, and as any good lawyer does, I was going to pay my taxes, obviously, and
Have to.
the because I was doing it as a hobby, I couldn't deduct all. I had no cost basis. I couldn't deduct my shipping supplies or anything like that.
Right.
So the profit that I made I just paid it in taxes. So I ended up like making $0 and losing a
Net
bunch of
0.
cards. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, right,
Um,
right, right.
but I enjoyed the process. So I took a break for a little bit and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this again, but let's come at it from a business mindset, like and see how we can do it. So I started by breaking boxes. So I started by just I took $1,000 and I bought a case of whatever the newest set was at the time. I forget. Maybe Murders at Karlov Manor, maybe something before that. And I started buying like 3 boxes, and then I would buy and rip those and sell those. Then I would buy like 2 or 3 commander decks, rip those, sell those, and just get bigger and bigger and bigger until I
Just
was buying
snowball. Yeah.
exactly until I was buying a case, 7 boxes, 8 boxes, 10 boxes, 12 boxes, um, a couple times a month. And that's the time commitment to take it seriously versus kind of just doing it as a side hobby is drastic. It is the kind of I guess it depends on what you want to get out of it. Like I want to take this long term and I want to grow this to be something that I could, you know, grow and snowball as much as I can. So, the more time you put in, the more you're going to get out of it. But
Right.
because you're not gonna make a lot of progress just moving cardboard around and putting it in envelopes and only making a couple bucks here or there.
Even with the hobby being, 2, 3, 4 times MSRP
Yeah.
on the open market as it is, still really tough if you're not taking it totally seriously. Now we're gonna go back to the lawyer thing because I don't know if I know any lawyers that are in this space, so that's really cool. But,
Yeah.
you said that you started with a couple of boxes and breaking and selling those cards and then moving up and rolling that money into cases and stuff like that. How did you not lose? Were you just selling the hits? Were you just very lucky, or did you have a TCG player account that you were selling everything from, 5-cent cards to 20? How did you not take losses
Yeah.
where you weren't able to invest?
Yeah. So I had a tool called Mox Alpha, which is a really good tool. It's like $50 a month, and it basically gives you the expected value of the boxes. You can kind of tweak it to have like your TCG. I had a TCG player account. You can tweak it to have the floor price and what you paid, and how and it'll essentially tell you, okay, if you're gonna sift and sell every card that's 25 cents or more, and your cost is X, you buy X amount of boxes. Your expected value is Y, and your
Sure.
deviation is, up and down this much. And obviously to hit that you'd have to buy thousands and thousands of boxes. But
Right. It's a
it's
numbers
a
game, right?
right, right. But it is a good tool to know which ones to buy because at least I was buying the ones that were cheaper and had the better return versus the ones that were overpriced. And you're right, like I sold every single card. Like so I would sift it um, by hand for cards like 25 cents and above. And then the other cards I would try and sell like when I had time to upload them. So when I ran out of more expensive cards to upload, I would kind of upload the bulk. But eventually I just got too much bulk and I actually donate those once a year to a local school, to their magic club.
That's what
And I
happens.
just
We've
I just come
all
in with
got
like
bulk.
boxes of cards and
Yep.
the guy's like, oh my god, the kids are gonna love this.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's neat. How lucky did you get and how unlucky did you get? Did you open a lot of boxes where the value was 2, 3 times more than expected? Did you open a lot of boxes where you didn't hit and you were like, "Oh, man, I'm under average on this." Or did it play out pretty average?
It played out pretty average. So like if you like, whenever you watch, like, the booster box game, from the professor in Tulare Community College or other people online, like, they're only saying, "Okay, these 15 cards that I got, they're worth more than $3. That's the kind of value out of the box." But people will buy every single card in that box, and, you don't have to sell the 5-cent card for 5 cents. You can sell the 5-cent card for 30 cents as long as you
Sure.
have a bunch of cards. So you have a very wide breadth of inventory that you gain from breaking boxes. So you sell the hits, you sell the uncommons and commons, you've made your money back. And then you still have, I don't know,
Whatever's
500
left.
cards left
Yeah.
over. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And that's gravy that will snowball time over time. And eventually you'll be 3 sets down the road and somebody will come through and buy, 50 cards from you from those 3 sets, clearly making a commander deck or a couple of commander decks. And then, that kind of gravy gets eaten up real quick. And then you have that kind of extra money
Interesting.
that you could roll forward.
That's a great point. Us as a business, this is we've only now after being in business for 2 years, we've built up a lot of bulk because we like to rip. and now we've only been selling bulk at 2 of our shows. This is the first time I've ever brought bulk, so we're bringing our, super rare and legendary Lorcana cards. We're bringing all of my foil and reverse foil Pokemon cards. We're bringing all of our Final Fantasy and Spider-Man collector cards, stuff like that. And it is amazing how many I wouldn't do it. I That's the difference maybe between a collector and a player. I'm just working towards a master set. I'm not building a
Mhm.
deck where I need 2, 3, 4 of the same card in it. And I'm not trying to build a meta where I need these 15 cards that all play off each other. It's very interesting to see our bulk, kind of what I consider bulk, just trickle
Mhm.
away because people are like, "Oh, you know what? I need these 19 super rares." And um that's a good point. Yeah, definitely the difference, a different mindset between a player and a collector. We do need to get better at, I'd love to make a TCG account at some point. Like, I've got a card scanner and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I just don't use it. But I'm probably sitting on a lot of movable stuff that may just turn into nothing because I hold on to it too long, or, it's always that double-edged sword. Do you hold on to it hoping that something strikes gold in a year, or do you just move it and keep moving forward? You know?
Right. I mean, at the last show that I was at, I bought 50,000 bulk Pokemon cards, that are sitting right behind me back there.
Can
And I
can you tell
also
us how much you spent on it? How much did
yeah.
50,000 cards run you?
So it was is everything from commons, uncommons, reverse hollows, some like
Was it sorted or was
EXs
it
and Vs
unsorted?
celebrations. They're pretty much sorted. They're in booster boxes and ETBs, and like you could tell when he opened a bunch of Chilling Rain because all the Chilling Rain is together. Um, but it so I it was part trade. I did like $400 in product and then like $125 on top.
So you paid
So it worked out to be like
525
a cent a
roughly?
card. Yeah, it worked out to be about 1 cent per card.
Wow, that's
Um,
fantastic. I mean, it's a lot of work for you to sort
yeah,
through. At one time, I've sorted through 30,000 cards, over the course of, like, 2.5 weeks. That's the largest amount of bulk I've ever sorted in what I'm gonna call one sitting. 50,000
yeah,
is a lot of cards, but a
yeah. Well,
penny, how do you beat that?
right, and to your point, the it's not going to go down. Like it's not going to go less than a penny. So some of those cards are going to like some of the reverse hollows from older sets. Like as whenever I get to them, they're probably going to be worth more then than they are now, just because
2,
they're that
3,
much rare. Yeah,
4, $8. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, that's a good buy. So that's where I wanna get to at some point. We haven't been very good at buying bulk, collected because we don't have anything liquid. We have no liquid assets. We put it all directly into inventory. But
yeah,
the singles game is just so hot now versus a year ago when it was really a sealed game. The singles have really taken over. Um I have to get better at that. All right, so you're a lawyer.
yeah.
What makes this at all financially attractive to you? Everybody who watches this and everybody who hears you is going to think that you're a multimillionaire or at least on your way to doing that. Why on earth would you want to play with magic cards and Pokemon
Yeah, well,
cards?
yeah, well, if I was that, my basement roof above me would be finished. But I'm just
Uh,
staring into some insulation up there. But
Listen, we all have it. We all have it.
um, yeah. So I've been practicing for 10 years now, and about 5 years ago, I guess for end of 2022, I was working a very high stress job at a big law firm, and I got really, really, really burnt out. And I took a month mental health break and kind of contemplated my life and what I wanted to do. And it kind of got some perspective. I ended up working at the firm for another year and a half before I was able to find a suitable job that was much less taxing. And then when I got that job that was much less taxing, and I could be a human again, and because there was no way I could go to these card shows on Saturdays, Sundays, and just be unavailable for 15 hours, 12 hours, 8 hours at a time. No way. That wouldn't
Right.
have flied. I would have gotten fired instantly. But uh, so once I got a job that allowed for a bit more flexibility, I started just using it in my free time and doing it. And you know, it's not financially rewarding in the sense that, like you said, I have every time I go to a card show, I come home with the same amount of money in my pocket, maybe less,
Right.
but I have more
Right.
cards. But the problem is, my bank's not going to take a Charizard in payment for my mortgage, so
Right.
that's unfortunate. But I think it's not but it's also kind of a blessing because it doesn't necessarily, for me, at least, and in my position, I'm very lucky. that it doesn't need to pay the bills. I have a little bit of leeway to try and scale it with a little bit more risk than I
Sure.
otherwise would be able to if I didn't have a kind of full-time professional career.
Which is definitely a luxury, but you've worked
Yes,
hard to
very much
get
so.
there. You know, I mean, an 18-year-old can't expect just to leave college. Well, in my opinion, they can't expect to leave college and open up a game store and in a year be profitable. It doesn't
Yeah,
really work that way, and it may never work that way ever again.
yeah,
You have to, I think a lot of people in this space, they have to start it as, I mean, it sounds negative, but they have to start it as a side hustle. They have to start
yeah,
it as a hobby, and then they have to survive long enough to scale it up to be able to turn it into a viable business, um,
absolutely.
which is very, um, probably different than a lot of the people that we meet at the shows. So Michael and I, we've met at these expos and at these shows that we vend at, and you know, just the show that I'm talking about, one of my favorite local shows. When we started going there a year ago, there was only about 90 to 100 tables. Now there's over 200 tables typically. A lot of people there are not what I would call, you know, professional business owners. They're people who like to rip and they wanna sell some cards and do some trading, and that's awesome. Um, but they're not always offering fantastic prices because they need to make a couple of bucks so that they can go turn around and turn it into more cards, and they're always chasing the hustle, and they're not building probably the brand and the business the way that I would do it, which is why I try to do things differently, and that's what drew me to you when we first met. I was like, "All right, he's got a table here, a banner, he's got a tablecloth. He doesn't look like he's out there flipping and robbing and
Yeah,
doing all kinds of I was like, "Oh, this is what I like," you know? So I'm happy to hear that it's the sort of thing that you're hoping to scale up and make it into something that is a real business. You're not just here for the day trade, which is fine. If you're in the space to day trade, that's cool. That's what built hobbies like this. You know, not every you know, 5th grader out at recess was thinking that this was gonna turn into a business. They wanted to trade and play and just have fun, and there's a lot of people who do that, but I like the business aspect to it.
yeah, absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think that when my experience so far, like, we were talking about how I started breaking bulk boxes in bulk. I don't do that anymore. Just because one, the market has changed. Like, you could only do it with Magic. You can't do it with Pokemon. It would be a fool's errand to do it with Pokemon. Because Magic is a utility driven game. So every card has value because somebody
Has
needs
a
it for
use.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot of that in Pokemon. You're
Right.
looking for 5 cards a box, maybe 10 cards a box, and the rest is mostly crap.
Exactly, exactly. And so I about a year ago or so, I got it to a steady enough cash flow where I could I rent a small office space to ship out of on the back end. It's not incredibly expensive. It's pretty cheap actually. Compared like it's in a big office park and in the middle of like a building next to like a law office. It's
Sure.
just like tucked away. Like nobody
A
bothers
hole in the
there at
wall
night.
spot for you. It's
Ex-
not customer facing.
exactly. And so I got it where the amount of cards I was going through, I kind of needed the space. I got a card bot to help me sort cards, which has been a godsend.
Oh,
Um,
I'm sure.
but it got to the point where I got my goal is to get into TCG Player Direct, which is where you can, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but you can send if you buy on TCG Player from the Direct program, TCG Player stocks the cards up front, sends them out to customers, and then they have certain sellers like myself. They send me an invoice and they said, "Okay, we sold 100 cards on your behalf. These are the cards. Pull them out of your inventory and send them to me." And so you essentially reimburse them with your cards. Um,
Wow, that's really cool. No, I've never heard of that. That is
yeah,
neat.
it's really neat. The fees are real,
You're paying
but
for what you get. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, right.
exactly. But it's a huge time saver because I was getting to the point where I was stuffing envelopes. Like I was spending more time fulfilling orders than I was scaling the business, and
Right.
that wasn't going to be sustainable. Got into direct, scaled it up a little bit more. That's when I was opening 10, 11, 12 boxes at the time because I could dump it real quick and flip it. But then I got to the point where I was like, okay, I was spending all my time packing reimbursement because they were like 3,000 cards each.
Right, right, right.
So I about a year ago, I've shifted my focus to be on more um wholesale collection buying and going to shows like where we met. And like exactly like you said, I've shifted from kind of like a behind the scenes faceless, okay, I'm just gonna sell cards on TCG Player and make the margin work, and the numbers are the numbers and they work, to something that has a bit more. It's more about the brand. It's more about building the expectation and the experience that, okay, I'm gonna go up to Michael's table. He's gonna be very nice. He's gonna say hello. He's not gonna be on his phone. He's gonna be knowledgeable about all the cards he has. He'll answer my questions. He'll tell me like if I try and sell him a card and he's gonna offer me a bad price just because it could take a long time to sell and like you should keep it. He'll tell me that. Like he's not gonna take advantage of me. And I'm gonna leave. He's gonna give me a sleeve. He's gonna give me a top loader. He's gonna give me a team bag. He's gonna give me a business card, and like
Right,
it's
right.
like a professional experience. So that is kind of what I've shifted my model to, is from breaking these boxes to essentially offering what I view as offering a service to the people who come to the card shows. Like they're gonna come to me and I take almost whatever game they have as long as the cards aren't ripped to shreds. I'll take moderately played cards, heavily played cards, near mint cards. I'll take the
You
bulk.
don't
I'll
say
take the
no,
expensive
just
ones.
the offer changes and the advice that you give to them change, and,
Exactly,
you'll
and
take
that
it
way.
all. You know it's all
Yeah,
worth something, it's just, is it worth the same amount to you as it is to the customer? You know?
exactly, and, they're getting money for they're turning their 50,000 bulk Pokemon cards into 3 ETBs and a PSA 10, so,
Sure, and
it
and
works for them.
they value that. Yeah, they
Yeah,
value that more than their 50,000 cards, and then you look at it and you say, "Well, I'm in a position right now where the 50,000,
yeah,
actually, that makes more sense to me right now,"
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
A lot of what you said is exactly what I was hoping to hear. I don't know how many of our videos you've watched in the past, or anybody who's currently watching us right now, but I preach a lot business ethics. I preach a lot about karma. I'm not a religious person, but I believe in karma, and I think that it's the best way to build a business is to be absolutely as honest as you can, especially when you know your competitors aren't feeling the same way you are. I think it really makes it easy to be honest, and it makes it easy to give customers good deals, because I know that around me, I can throw a stone at some of these shows and I'm going to hit somebody who might not be very honest or might be trying to squeeze every ounce of blood from a stone. And oh, the card's worth $21. I'm going to give you 20.93 for it. Or the reverse. I'm going to give you $10 for this $30 card. And maybe the customer doesn't know any better. Or maybe they just don't care and they're comfortable only making $10. But then I know they're going to turn around and flip it for 30 to the next person who walks down, and there's a place in business for that. It's not how I operate. I like the honest, smooth, ethical transaction. It's about building a brand, which not everybody wants to do. Some people don't care. They just want to set up, sell a couple cards, and move on, which is cool. But I like the brand aspect, so I'm happy to hear that. That makes a lot of sense to me. So you've got a back end area where you're at least still using as some sort of storage and sorting
Yeah,
location, right now.
yep.
What's the future hold? Where do you hope to be in a year? Where do you hope to be in 5 years? Where do you hope to be in 10 years?
Yeah, so I in a year, I hope to have, um, kind of completely shifted my model to collection buying and in person at shows and events, and then taking those and distributing them out onto the internet. Because I still have like a backlog I'm working through of cards that I've sold
It'll
before
never
that I
go
that I
away.
broke. Yeah, exactly.
It'll never go
Um,
away.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But that's the goal in a year, is to be in that position, and to uh, have uh, a demonstrable to have a weekend where I go to a show, I buy a lot of cards, and I come home with a little bit of extra money that I didn't spend on cards, but I still have a bigger inventory, and that just requires the snowball to get big enough, because you can't, eventually,
About
like you're
scaling.
gonna sell, yeah, you're gonna sell so many cards where you physically can't take any more cards in because you just can't do it. Like you don't have the capacity. So that's my goal in a year. 5 years, 10 years, I honestly would love to have a shop. I would love to run a true, local game store. Um, I think my theory of the case is a little bit different than some people's, and I think that my goal is to explore a local game store business model that works in the year of our Lord 2026, or 2031, whatever
Sure,
5 years from now is. Um, because a lot of game stores that I've been into and like that I go to and have played Magic at for decades operate under the model of, okay, we have our cards, we have our packs and stuff, we have a huge space for people to play. And they're gonna come in on Friday night, they're gonna buy a pack, they're gonna spend $5 to play Friday Night Magic, they're gonna buy soda and leave.
yep,
Which
that's pretty
you know,
standard.
yeah, I think that, in my opinion, like that may work for some folks, but in how my goal is much bigger than just running one store and kind of making getting by. My goal is to create a system that runs a game store and or runs uh game book, board game, just like the kind of nerd culture store. Create a system that can be, it's a bad word for it, but franchised. There's McDonald's. You go into McDonald's, it's owned by somebody different, but you get the same cheeseburger at every single McDonald's in the world. So I think that my goal is to have a system built where folks can expect a certain level of professionalism and a premium experience, um, as a model, and focusing less on the kind of Friday Night Magics and tournaments, because to be completely honest, like that's not necessarily profitable. Because I've known a lot of Magic players. I've been a Magic player at
Sure.
these competitive events, and you know what I'm not doing when I'm going to those stores? I'm not spending enough money to keep their lights on. Like I'm buying my cards on Star City Games for cheaper, and then
Right,
I'm buying my sleeves on Amazon for cheaper, and then I'm taking them to
right,
the store, playing and leaving.
right.
So that's my
I
goal eventually.
Well, and things can get in the way. I know that I know that you're married, but I don't know, what does your wife do?
My
Is
wife
she a
works in the
lawyer
travel
too?
industry. No,
Oh,
God no.
traveling.
Thankfully.
I
Um,
was gonna say, you
yeah.
guys gotta get out of my business because I can't compete with 2 lawyers in the same space, all right? I don't have the pockets yet. So she works in travel. Okay, okay. And,
Yes.
pets, family, house, do you guys live at your parents' house? I mean, what's your personal situation like?
Yeah, so we own our house. We've been here for 3 going on 4 years. We live in the North Shore of Massachusetts and really love it. It's wonderful. It's too cold, but it's wonderful. And we have 2 cats, Tex and Taco. They're 5 years old. They are COVID kitties, so they are attached at our hip because we got them like April 2020.
And they knew nobody
Um,
else. Yeah.
right, exactly, exactly. And I work remotely now, so they're just like always next to me, just like no matter
Yep.
what I'm doing, they're just there, which is wonderful. I have a bird by marriage.
Oh.
My step bird, um, who, it was my wife's bird before we got married. His name is Misu. He's a cockatiel. He is 12 years old, and he absolutely hates me. But
So, I grew up
yeah,
with a cockatoo,
okay.
as opposed to a cockatiel, and he was my first pet. He was the man. They can live forever. They would live way longer than me. Unfortunately, we had to get rid of him after, like, 10, 12 years,
Hmm.
which was really sad. It'll always be a painful moment, but, not a ton of bird owners out here anymore. I also have 2 cats, so living similar lives. And it is too cold. I think we're gonna get down here, we're gonna be at, like, 19 degrees tonight. It's gonna drop, like, 20 degrees over the next couple hours,
Sounds awful.
which is nice. Any kids?
Yeah, so we actually are expecting in July, which we are incredibly excited about, and is going to be, um, just wonderful and amazing. It's very 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 exciting for us. Obviously, from a business perspective, it's going to be challenging, because so I'm actually not going to renew my lease just because at my space, just because I don't really need it for the way I've shifted my business model. I'm no longer, opening tons and tons of cards and having sorting trays everywhere. Now I have a card bot. I have a system where I can list on TCG Player in a chaos sort, so I'm not trying to alphabetize.
Yep.
Um, and so I don't need the space necessarily. And I also will not be able to pull myself away from my growing family every night to go sit in an office by myself.
It's very true, very true. So, I think everybody wants to know. So July, are you going to name the baby Fable or Table?
Actually, and is the name.
Yeah, well, the "and" is the middle name, so you can
Of
actually use them
course.
all if you want.
Of
Okay,
course.
all right. Well, and this makes me also and we haven't even gotten to talking about Magic yet, and it's been about a half an hour. How long do you have? When are you gonna get pulled
I got
away?
I no, I got time.
All right, good. So we'll wrap up the family stuff real quick, and then we'll dive into this year's
Yeah.
Magic, and I can pick your brain a little bit because I don't know much about what's
Yeah,
going on, anyways.
absolutely.
Maybe you know better than I do. Um, you you made me wanna talk about those. So you're doing things in what I think probably makes the most sense, chronologically, which is, um start the business before your responsibilities get too high, if at all possible. That way, when the and not to terrify you, I have 3 kids. But so once the anxiety hits and the family responsibility hits, and when you can now no longer spend 90% of the time that you were doing it, is the business still sustainable? Do you still have time to do it? Is it still fun? Can you still do it enough per month to enjoy it or to make some money or to continue ripping or flipping or selling or whatever you're going to do? Or you get these people who come right out of college and they just want to go and they just hustle and they build a business over the course of 5, 8, 10 years, and then they start a family, and then hopefully by that point it's already self-sustaining. um, Fortunately, you got in and you started doing this, I think, a few years earlier than man, if you tried to start this like 4 months ago and then found out you
Yeah,
guys were having a baby,
yeah.
probably would have made a big difference. Um,
Agreed, agreed.
uh,
My theory of the case is, if I could build it, there's a chance I could sustain it, but there's no chance I could build it.
Right, exactly. And you don't know if you don't know. All right,
Yeah,
so let's dive into the next couple of sets. So I am out of the lore because I really haven't played in 25 years, and I don't know enough about what you're into. I don't know how much you follow the planeswalkers and the lore and all that jazz.
yeah,
I'm thinking you probably do because you've been playing Magic for forever. But tell us a little bit about Lorwyn because I haven't had a real Magic set, I think, come out since has there been a oh, there has been a real set since Final Fantasy, right?
yeah.
There's been a
Been
real
a couple.
set.
Been a
Okay.
couple. Yeah, so lore is not necessarily my strong suit. I have gained it by osmosis for 25 years.
Yep, yep,
I'm a very, very competitive Magic player. So there was a point in my life where the cards could have just been numbers and words, no pictures, and I
and
would
it
have been
didn't
totally
matter.
fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it was all just a game system. But I do love the art, and I have picked up the story over the years. So Lorwyn is a plane that um exists like we haven't been to in 20 years almost, like 2005 ish maybe. Um, the it's a very classic Magic set. So you have Lorwyn and Shadowmoor are kind of the flip sides of the same plane. Lorwyn is like the daytime, like very bright colors, oranges, greens, light
I've seen it,
blues.
very fairies, very
Exactly,
Bogarts,
exactly.
very happy looking-ish,
Exactly, and on the
if
flip
you will.
side, you have Shadowmoor, which, is lots of dark purples and blacks and, like, kinda, ooh, spooky, scary.
Yep.
Not like Gothic quite, but definitely a darker in tone, and, um, there was something that happened at the end of the Shadow because you had Lorwyn and Sh Lorwyn, Eventide, Shadowmoor. I think there was one more as like a block set back in 2005 or whatever it was. And there was a story beat that happened that I don't know the details of, but now we're
Sure.
back. And Lorwyn is going, it kind of had rebuilt itself and is going through a new problem as every Magic set does. But
Okay.
it's cool because Lorwyn, I like Lorwyn because it's tribal focused. They Meaning there's a lot of focuses on having. I think the Wizards of the Coast now calls it typal and not tribal, typal and kindred. Meaning there's a focus on goblins, there's a focus on merfolk, there's a focus on your cards types, like creature types mattering. That's a
Okay.
very classic Lorwyn mechanic, and that's definitely coming back.
Well, and
Um,
that reminds me of when I used to play 25 years ago, slivers and
yeah,
thralls and goblins and worms and stuff like that, and elves and creature types, they really did matter.
yeah.
Oh, so that's interesting. So that's not something that's necessarily prevalent in every set. Every set doesn't. So when you're saying, like, tribal or whatever words they use right now, it's almost pretty literal. They're
Yeah.
literally grouping.
Exactly, exactly. There's so the commander decks that are coming out are elementals, which is a 5-color deck, and I think the other one's goblins, which is I think it's black and red. And I have both of them
Sounds
on
right.
pre-order, and I'm very excited.
Yeah,
um,
very cool.
yeah.
Well, what what
Uh,
what can you tell us about the inner thoughts of players? Is everyone really excited about the set? Are they less excited? Are they average? Are they pissed off about something that people should be knowing about right now?
well, Magic
What's the
players are always
feeling?
pissed off. Magic
Yeah,
players are
but
always mad at something. um, the uh, but people are very
that's a
excited
good
about Lorwyn Eclipse. People, because Lorwyn is a very beloved set in Magic. So coming back to Lorwyn after having a lot of universes beyond focus in the last couple years, I think is really something that old school Magic fans like myself appreciate. And I really hope it will. The people who like yourself kind of got back into it or got into it the first time with Final Fantasy, Avatar, Spider Man, kind of other properties can see, oh, Magic does have kind of a cool backstory and lore, and like, oh, why is this guy so excited about it? Oh, it's because it was out when he was like 17, and
right.
that's really cool. Um, so hopefully that's the case. But people are really excited about it. It looks very powerful. The art is beautiful. I don't know if you've seen many of the spoilers, but the treatments they're doing, like the different they call it booster fun um cards that come out of the booster packs, like the different styles. They're
Yeah,
very, very, very good. And for the first time ever, I think they are doing flip cards of the same card. So in Magic, you can have double face cards, which are mechanically unique on both sides, and there's usually
right.
some method to flip them. But they're releasing Shocklands, which are some of the most staple lands you put in a deck, staple mana base. And on one side, they have the Lorwyn version, and on the other side, they have the Shadowmoor version. So one side's bright and happy and cheery, and the other side's like dark and gloomy. And you can choose which art you like, and they're really sick. And I think it's the first time they've ever done it, and they're probably gonna like if it's a hit, they're probably gonna do it more. But it's really cool.
That is super cool, but it also so you've given me a lot to think about. For example, we need to do a video at some point so that we can fight and argue and discuss Universes Beyond because I have all kinds of feelings about the pros and cons of what that's done with the
Yeah,
Magic community. And you said something that I really like, which is hopefully someone like you talking to me,
yeah,
Universes Beyond brought me back in. Hopefully, this is like a gateway into me now
yeah.
joining back and I have been screaming this at Magic players that have been fighting me about how sick of Universes Beyond they are and how much of sellouts. And I keep telling them our community, and I still say our because played 25 years ago, but really
Yeah.
I haven't been part of the community forever. Our community is dying and we're old. We need new people and we need more people. And thankfully, they released a super hype set that got me back into it after not even really thinking about it in 20 years. And I'm like, oh, man, the artwork's great, and, oh, this mechanic is great, and Magic really is fun to play, and I just all these people that were bitching and complaining, I swear Universes Beyond has done more good than bad. The handful of people, and I say handful, obviously it's a lot more than that, but the people who are burnt out about it, great, don't buy it. Continue to buy your sets that you're really excited for. But I think it did a really good job of bringing people like me in or brand new people that have never played before that are diehard Final Fantasy fans or 17-year-old kids who watched Avatar with their dad for the first time over the last 3 years, and then a Magic card game comes out with a set of Avatar cards, like, that's wicked cool. I'm gonna go buy it. Uh, I could do a whole video on fighting over this, but, those lands, that makes it really difficult, though, to play in the future if you're not sleeving your decks, huh?
Yeah,
Takes a little
yeah.
bit of casual play away.
Exactly, exactly, and that you usually
Interesting.
they have in sets where they have mechanically unique cards like that. They always have uh blank cards that come in the packs. So they have a magic back that you can write whatever card is, and you just keep it in your deck box for like draft. But you have to have sleeves that have the double mat, so you can't see through the
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that this was coming down the pipeline. I think that's wicked cool. And so, yeah, I want a dark and gloomy mana set and to
Yeah,
go with my really exciting happy cards or whatever. I actually I really like the colors of Lorwyn because purple is one of my favorite colors, and
yeah,
I love that teal seafoam greenish color. And those are the
yeah.
two colors that now I've seen plastered on every
Hmm.
Magic advertisement. Um, we don't have to go super deep into all this. It's already been a 40-minute video, but how do you feel about Secret Lair in general?
I Okay, yeah, we'll have to come back and do a video
Yeah,
where we talk about Secret Lair Universes Beyond. I will sum up my thoughts in 2 points. One, from a player standpoint, I don't love it. I I was very resistant to Universes Beyond, especially once they started crossing over into 60 card Magic sets like Modern and now Standard. Did not love it. Secret Lair, I don't I don't love that they put mechanically unique cards in Secret Lairs. That it's just I don't know. I don't love it from a player perspective because you have to hunt down the secret layer and you have to get in a line
it's
and a
gate
queue and
kept. You know,
yeah, exactly.
almost. It's gated if you can't afford it or if you can't find it or if it
Yeah,
sells out immediately and then really you can't find it, you can't play that mechanic. I completely agree. It's
exactly.
yeah.
So I don't love that, but I guess the shareholders love it, and we have to think
They
about them.
definitely do.
Um, but from a vendor's perspective, from a business perspective, Universal Beyond and Secret Layer is awesome because
Sure.
it's
Cash cows.
sorry.
Cash cows, you know,
Oh yeah,
it's name
I mean
brand stuff. Yeah.
every show people come by, like every single show, multiple people come by and they're like looking for Final Fantasy cards, and then they're picking up because they're like, oh, I started playing Final Fantasy, now I have a commander deck, and they're picking up cards from like revised and old school cards that are 15, 20, $30. And they're like, oh, I gotta put in my deck. Now they're just
Right.
Magic fans. They were Final Fantasy fans, now they're just Magic fans. So I think it's been great for that. And Secret Lair similarly, people come by and say, oh, do you have the
It's the
Sony
same
one?
thing.
Do you have Sonic? So from a business perspective and from a profit perspective, it was definitely the right move. And I'm old man Magic, and I'll get over it. It is how it is. What it is. It's not going back. So
Most of the community is old man magic, man. This is
yeah,
exactly what I'm talking about. And I
yeah,
don't think you're as hardcore because you also see it from a
yeah,
financial vendor standpoint as well, as opposed to just a player standpoint. But yeah, man, I mean, it's fascinating.
yeah,
It's certainly not going to go away, and we're not going to affect it at all. What is Strixhaven? Is that another plane? Are you familiar with that term? Because I'm
yeah.
not.
Yeah, so Strixhaven is another plane. So essentially every Magic set takes place on a different plane. Like you revisit some, but they're all usually on different planes. So Strixhaven is a plane, and it's like Harry Potter themed. It's set in like a magical school setting, and you have different
Interesting.
houses in the magical school. I didn't play a lot during the original Strixhaven. That was a time in my life where I just
You
didn't have
weren't
a lot of
playing
time
as
to
much
engage with the
magic.
magic. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I familiar with it's the kind of lore of it being a school. There's a rumor, an incredibly unsubstantiated rumor that uh
You
it was
guys hear
supposed
this?
to
There's gonna be new info dropped right here from the inside that no one on the planet has ever heard. These rumors, he's got the inside track right here. You heard it here.
um, there's a rumor that Strixhaven was supposed to be a Harry Potter secret lair, or a Harry Potter like skinned Universes Beyond set. Which I don't know if that's true or not, but when
Interesting.
you look at it, it makes a lot of sense because it's pretty similar.
Interesting. Oh, so Harry Potter predated it then. I was gonna ask when you thought the original Strixhaven came out.
Oh yeah, it was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah, okay, great. So
Yeah,
Harry
so
Potter
it's a
was
new
done
plane.
at
Yeah,
that point.
it's a new
Okay,
plane.
and so let's see, we've got a potential, Lorwyn's coming out this month, I think, soon,
Yeah,
like in a week or 2, in a
yeah,
week.
exactly.
Um, we've got some secret layers that we know about. We know about TMNT, which they've already taken a ton of pre-orders, or
Hmm.
Universe Beyond, that's not secret layer. That's in-house, but we know TMNT is coming. That should be, in 2 months from now. I think that's March-ish. Let's see on my calendar here. I've got Strixhaven potentially coming in April. So that's a couple of sets back to back to back. Oh, I don't know if I knew that this Marvel set was Universes Beyond. I think I thought it was Secret Lair. But I'm really excited for the Marvel stuff.
Yeah,
We are big Marvel fans over here. I am a very large Marvel fan, so I'm
yeah,
really excited to find out. Okay, is it going to push a lot of Avengers? Is it going to push a lot of X-Men? It's another set, man. That just like Final Fantasy, this is what's going to keep me holding on for the next 4 months. If a set like Lorwyn doesn't pull me in, and it's either not super financially viable, or if I don't get to sit down and play, Lorwyn's not going to do it. But a set like Marvel will keep me holding on until it releases in, it looks like June. Um, so yeah, we've got
Yeah.
Marvel coming down the pipeline. We've got The Hobbit in August, um, which I mean that's going to hit old man Magic players like us, or it's supposed to, anyways. You
Yeah.
know. And then what do we have here? Finishing out the year, we have Reality Fracture. That's something I don't know about.
So
Is that on your horizon? Do you know about that?
yeah, so I don't think they haven't released a ton of information, and if they've released something this last 2 or 3 weeks, I'm not aware, but there is, so Magic, when they introduced Planeswalkers, 20 years ago, they what the part of the goal of Planeswalkers was to introduce a new mechanic, but it was also to introduce, characters you could follow, like kind of like the Justice League of Magic,
Sure.
and or the Avengers, I guess, if you're a Marvel fan, and that kind of has carried through, and they about 10 years ago they started doing these story arcs where you have like kind of this build up connected stories, and then you have a ultimate set that kind of brings the story all together and kind of like the Avengers movies, and then you start the next phase.
Jason Lilith fight or something like that. You know,
Exactly,
there yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Right.
So in Reality Fracture is the culmination of the last 2 years of sets. So it's gonna bind the whole story together, but nobody knows much about it.
So it's really Avengers. Or it's really yeah, it's a giant fight or a civil war kind of thing. Something big's gonna happen.
Something big's gonna
Interesting.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah, my talking points here. Let's see. What did my assistant write up here? Standard legal set, likely tied to broader narrative arcs, very lore heavy. Yeah, so it's going to
Yeah.
be a lore heavy, deep Planeswalker dive.
Yep.
And let's see. The final end of this year that's currently being promoted is the Star Trek set, which
Yeah.
I think I knew about that a little while ago before it was official. I think that was a rumor that
Yeah.
they weren't very good at keeping secret. Star Trek set, that could be huge for, once again, people that have been playing Magic for 30 years or almost 30 years.
Yeah,
Um,
and, it was a rumor, but one of the last in-universe Magic sets they did was Edge of Eternities, which is like a space theme set.
I
It's
have a
set.
set of that, and from what I understand, it did garbage, but or I think it did. I've got some collector's boosters. I have a couple of pre-release kits and stuff like that.
Yeah, the collector's boosters didn't do great, but from a player standpoint, it seems pretty well received 'cause the mechanics are pretty cool. But it takes place on a plane that's like the outer edge of the known multiverse. But they introduced importantly stations, like big like USS Enterprise type ships, and uh stations and like spaceships. So
Hmm.
it was pretty clear that they were going to do something in space, and now I imagine we'll see a lot of those mechanics return in Star Trek with some Star Trek flavored mechanics as well, I'm sure.
All right. Well, let's I like to finish up with two different things. Right
Yeah.
now, I'm going to rattle off a couple of questions to you and I want your gut reaction
Yeah.
as
Okay.
quickly as you can,
Okay.
and then we'll finish off the interview with a question and call it a day. All
Yep.
right. So, first thing, fact point here. Magic saw a 55% increase year over year from 2024 to 2025. Why? And are you happy about it? Do you think it was worth it? Do you think that they made the right decisions?
Universes Beyond, definitely Final Fantasy, most of it. I am happy about it generally because the game I love will stick around and be financially viable. And I think they made the right decisions to please the people that won't shut Magic down. But maybe not
I
the right
love it.
decision to make me happy.
You said Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy
Yeah.
became the fastest selling Magic set ever, which most people
Yeah.
know. What some people knew but forgot, they made over $200 million in one day. The day that it released, 200 million in sales.
That's insane.
Nuts. And you know how much of that is profit? Well, it's freaking cardboard. You know what? Probably 190 million of that is profit. But how do you feel about that?
I think, the Final Fantasy, from my perspective, I broke 7 boxes of Final Fantasy within a week. I listed every rare, most uncommons, every mythic. I had like that many card. My stack was that big. Like they sold. Every
So
single
you
card sold.
profited from Final Fantasy
It
pretty
went great.
well.
It went
Yeah, it
great,
went
but
great.
it was very, very, very popular, and I think that's good for Magic as a whole.
Mm. Did you see the Secret Lair drop today? The info release. The next set that's sneaky coming next week.
I saw a screenshot of Fallout. I'm not
Y-
sure. I didn't read too much into it.
Yep, so I believe it's called Fallout the Super Rad set, which
Okay,
I don't
okay.
have here, but it's a culmination of, I think, all 4 Fallout sets that they did. They're going to
Oh.
re-release those, I think, with 6 brand new art-styled cards. And
Oh.
yeah, and so that drops next week. Uh, but even bigger than that, which this leads a little bit to what we were talking about, scarcity and supply and things like that. This is the first set ever that Secret Lair is also releasing to Amazon.com. So you're gonna be able to purchase
Really?
this on, yeah, which I think is a, well, I wanna ask you your opinion. How do you feel about Secret Lair products being offered on Amazon?
So they're clearly not they don't have the local game store in mind, the secret layer model, clearly. And if they're not going to do that, I would rather it go somewhere that won't crash and has, the most robust checkout in the entire world, I'm sure. Than
I
have it
agree.
go into Wizard's site and just be a nonsense, day
You're
of
here for
people.
3.5 hours
Yeah,
and you watch the little guy
exactly.
trickle across the screen.
Exactly. So if they're not going to give it to local game stores, like I mean, sure, give it to Amazon. Like as long as it's a smooth experience, like what am I going to do about it?
Hopefully, it'll be smooth. Maybe it'll mean that
Yeah.
it'll restock periodically,
Yeah.
as opposed to some of our sets that they appear on Secret Lair, they're up
Yeah.
and gone within an hour and a half, and then they're never to be seen again.
Exactly.
Little things restock, like they keep restocking the Kratos Norse set
Mhm.
from the Platinum Trophy set, and they've restocked the Ghost of Tsushima a couple of times, which I think was probably one of their fastest selling Secret
Yeah.
Lairs in a minute. Unfortunately, I missed the Final Fantasy ones. And then there's a set like Sonic that was in stock for 5 hours, and they had trouble giving the stuff away, and now it's kinda borderline worthless, but for
Yeah.
the most part. I mean, I think the artwork, there's 2 cards in that Sonic set that I think are beautiful, but they're not worth very much, so
Yeah.
that's amazing. Well, um, what is your favorite animal?
Uh, cat.
Why?
Uh, I love cats because they have tricked humans into like they've domesticated humans.
The Egyptian model.
Yeah, I have this cat that sits around all day. I feed it, I clean its litter box, and I pet it for fun. So like, they got the life.
Yeah, I would say that, I would say that that cat definitely has you on retainer,
Yeah,
and
exactly,
yet doesn't pay you a
exactly.
dime. What's
Right.
your least favorite animal? And you can't say cat.
My least favorite snakes. I
Why?
oof, snakes creep me out. Like they really, really creep me out, and it's to the point where like if I'm at an aquarium and like they have like a big snake, I won't even walk near it. Like I just go to the next little section.
That's it. Every time I walk past you, I'm gonna start calling you
Yeah.
Indiana. And,
Oh my god.
very good, very good. Well, if you wanted to, we've now been streaming for 53 minutes.
Yeah,
I've kept you here for an awful long time. I hope that you, enjoyed it. I hope you were able to get a couple of things off your chest and talk a little bit about the business. If you wanted to sum up, use this as a promotional next
yeah,
2 minutes. Talk a little bit about you and give everybody a couple last words to remember you by.
will do. First off, thank you very much for doing this. This was awesome. I really appreciate it, and I feel very honored. It's like going to the shows with you and meeting, getting to know you and the guys. Like really cool experience. I work remotely, so I'm related during the day, so it's nice to get out and meet people. So I appreciate it.
Sure.
Um, so yeah, so I've been to a lot of the card shows. My next show is going to be at the Envision Hotel in Mansfield on Monday, Martin Luther King Day. Put on by cardboardpromotions.com. If you go there, I'll be at pretty much every one of those shows they list. You can find my stuff on fableandtablegames.com. And I have a link there that will send you everywhere. It'll send you, I got YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. There's a link there to my mana pool to buy magic cards, my card trader account to buy Magic, Pokemon, One Piece, Riftbound, all the other games, um, and a link to my buy list. So I have a tool. If you click the sell us cards button, it'll take you to my buy list, and you can put in your cards and the condition, and it'll tell you how much I'll offer you. You can click checkout. It'll send it to me, and then we can work something out. That is,
Oh, cool.
and the best way if you're interested in supporting Fable Table Games, the best way to do that would be to buy something from my website. That would be the best way to do it because I need The website is a work in progress, and kind of getting traffic up would be very helpful.
And you've got a baby coming. Come on,
I do. Right,
listen,
right. Yeah.
lawyer money doesn't do it anymore. I don't know what you guys know about lawyers, but they make like a solid $4 or $5 an hour. It's Fable and Table Games that's really gonna push the needle here. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
plus it's
Go buy
fun.
my $12 sleeves.
There you go. That's what we're talking about. Well, good. We'll be at Mansfield with you, and what we'll do is I'll get all your information after this. If you've got a link tree, or if you just want to
Yep, I
copy and
do. Yeah.
paste, send me all of your links. That way, I can put it in our YouTube video here, so that people can pop in. You do have a comment here saying fantastic interview, very informative. I hope that you guys get some good stuff out of this. People who want to start a business, people who are interested about hearing kind of how a business works when you're juggling family, when you're juggling your real job. I put real job in quotes because real is totally in perspective. And maybe future Magic players, people who are just dipping their toes in or who just got back into it over the last year. What's coming down the pipeline? Are diehard players excited about it? Are they not excited about it? So I hope you got a lot out of this. Head over to his website, make some purchases. You're welcome to start a GoFundMe. You can also just send him as much money as you possibly want. I can't imagine he would say no. Most of us wouldn't. And thanks so much for tuning in. All right, everybody. We'll see you next